What do you think is better, the dollar store vinyl or the Cricut vinyl? We're going to compare the two, and I'm going to show you a really cool project in the end. I'm Jamie, the crafty DIY guy. Welcome back to my channel. I'd like to thank Cricut for sponsoring today's video. Now, the first thing that you're going to notice about the packaging with the Cricut vinyl is that it is very, very sturdy. So it's going to protect your investment right off the bat. The packaging for the dollar store vinyl is much thinner, it's kind of flimsy, and it doesn't really protect your product from damage. Now, the first thing you're going to notice whenever you receive any of your Cricut vinyl or you purchase Cricut vinyl is you're going to notice the packaging right off the bat. Not only is the packaging nice and secure, it is nice, thick, hardy plastic, but also you can see exactly what you are getting. You can see how everything is rolled up nice and tight. The packaging from the dollar store is just a little more flimsy. Yes, they've got this great little window that you can kind of see the packaging, or at least the print, but as you can also see with a side-by-side comparison, the sizing is not even correct. Mine were definitely a little more beaten up. Of course, all of this is determined by how it is handled in the store, but as you can see, when that packaging is damaged, it can also hurt your vinyl. Now, the other thing that I noticed right away was that the vinyl was placed so awkwardly inside the packaging when I purchased my vinyl from the dollar store. Whenever I'm opening Cricut vinyl, I am getting one continuous, long, smooth surface. Smart vinyl is specially designed for easier making and continuous extra long cuts that can go for up to 12 feet long. The dollar store packaging is folded weird, it was scrunched up in the tube, it was wrinkled at the ends, and that's just not a product that I want to put into my machine. I don't know about you, but I'm trying to protect my investment. Now, the moment you start to unroll your vinyl, you're going to definitely see the difference. As you can see, this roll is nice and tight, but this one is already creased. And while I'm rolling it out here, the backside doesn't look that bad, right? You think, okay, this is pretty cool. This is going to be good. And then you get to the end here and you're thinking, what in the world? This is creased so bad. There's no way that I can use this in my machine. And then when you really start to look at all the other sides of the vinyl, then you really get an idea of just how bad this can be. This is a roll that I purchased right from the store, and the creasing that is in it is just going to be horrible. It's going to be bad for your project. It's going to be bad for your machine. And this is just not something that you want to use in your Cricut. Now, another thing I would suggest if you are going to be exploring with a little bit of the dollar store vinyl is that you really should look into adjusting your pressure settings. And that, unfortunately, is going to be a little bit of a guesswork for you because the dollar store vinyl is very, very thin. Now, whenever you're using Cricut machines or you're using Cricut materials, everything is already pre-calibrated. So you don't have to guess on what kind of strength to cut your materials with because, again, everything is already set up for you in your machine and in Design Space. The great thing about it is if you're using permanent vinyl, your machine knows exactly what pressure to use. If you're using faux leather, if you're using chipboard, whichever machine that you have and whichever Cricut materials you have, the great thing about it is your machine is going to work together with you to make those cuts seamlessly and flawlessly. Every Cricut material is carefully designed to work flawlessly with your Cricut machine. The dollar store vinyl has just a different kind of feel to it. This is definitely thinner and it is kind of a rubbery texture. I don't really know how to describe it. It's a little more flimsy, so it doesn't have the same durability feel that the Cricut vinyl has. The Cricut vinyl, again, kind of comes in this great roll. You've got the grid pattern on the back, and it just has a different thickness and texture that I like so much better. Now, the one thing that I really love about the Cricut Smart Vinyl is that it is really, really easy to weed and to transfer directly onto your projects. The dollar store vinyl can be a little thin, which could lead to tearing, and you don't want that when you're working on a project. Cricut materials are stress tested for performance and for durability, so you can really get in there, you can really weed your project, and you can transfer it onto your surface pretty easily. Now, the one thing that I've noticed, especially about the Cricut Smart Vinyl, is that it is extremely easy to weed. One thing that I think helps is this white border that is along the edge of it, because that kind of not only feeds into your machine with the Smart Vinyl, but it also allows you to kind of get your weeding tools under there and to lift that vinyl up very, very easily whenever you are weeding any of your projects. Now, the other thing that I do question about the dollar store vinyl is really like how permanent this could be. Now, if you're wanting something that's got some longevity, I don't know if I would feel comfortable like using a lesser product. In my opinion, the dollar store vinyl is very, very thin, and I don't want to use that on my projects that are supposed to last all season, if not year after year. The Cricut materials go through a rigorous testing process to ensure long-lasting results, which is exactly what you need when you make that perfect project for your front door, or for your friend, or for your neighbor, or for your cousin, or for your brother, or for your sister. Anything that you're making with Cricut, you can ensure that the quality is going to be long-lasting and have some longevity. Now for this next comparison, we are going to take a piece of the dollar store vinyl and we are just going to stick it down on our project. Now, this is strictly just for testing purposes. There's no kind of design aesthetic for this. I did cut off a small piece of my dollar store vinyl, and then I did the same exact thing with the Cricut Joy vinyl. I'm going to take my Cricut tools and I'm just going to make sure that this is good and stuck and adhered to our dollar store blank, and then we're going to take our weeding tool and we're going to attempt to weed this off of here. And as you can see, the dollar store vinyl is coming off pretty easily. It is also kind of, you're able to poke your tool through there pretty easily. And then check this out. When I went to remove the Cricut vinyl, yes, it did come off of there also pretty easily at first. But then as you can see towards the end here, it had some sticking power, and it actually took the blank, or a piece of the blank, off of the backing, which I thought was pretty cool. Also, the dollar store vinyl is only going to be compatible with your newer machines if you're using a cutting mat. With the Smart Vinyl, I don't need to use a cutting mat, since the dollar store vinyl is not nearly as wide, especially the one that is supposed to be for the Cricut Joy. Your project is also going to be reduced significantly in size, and I don't really want that. Also, all Cricut materials are safe for their intended use and compliant with all applicable regulations for manufacturing operations. That was a mouthful. So let's go ahead and compare the sizes of the two smaller vinyls. Now we've got the Cricut Joy Smart Vinyl in black, and then I've got this great pattern that I picked up from the dollar store right away. Besides the wrinkles and crinkles, you can see that there's a huge comparison difference. Now remember, the white kind of border that you're seeing on the Cricut vinyl, that is your Smart Vinyl, so that helps feed this vinyl directly into your machine. But when you do line up the actual vinyl piece, you can see that there's a pretty significant difference here. And if you're talking about doing a project and you're already doing a smaller scale project, because the Cricut Joy is ideal for those smaller projects, do you really want to lose that much space? I know that I don't. Now for our project, because you know we were going to have a project today, I'm going to take these tin metal planters and we are going to go into Design Space. I want something that is kind of spring inspired and grow and garden. And so I'm just going to simply put in the keyword grow. I'm going to also go into the sort function. I'm going to look for single layered vinyl pieces that I can work with, just that have very simple, very, very easy design, kind of a simple, almost like a modern farmhouse kind of a vibe. And we're going to scroll. We're going to scroll and we're going to look through all of these different designs, because once again, the great thing about Design Space is that Cricut Design Space is a software that you use to communicate to your Cricut machine. It's what you use to design, upload, and choose your designs that you're going to make with your Cricut. And that is ultimately what I'm doing here. Now, I'm searching through thousands of different designs. Depending on the keyword you get, you are going to have a ball looking at all the different ideas and things. And yes, I dumped them all onto my canvas, because that is the other thing that you can do with Cricut Design Space, is if you're not really sure, select them all. Select as many as you want. Play around with them, size them, move them onto your canvas, and really take your time to figure out. Now, these were the three that I ultimately ended on, But I actually changed my mind mid-design and went with something that's going to be a little out of the box. I'm going to maximize one of those designs. Can you guess which one I use? Now, just simply follow the prompts with your Cricut machine, and it is going to tell you exactly what to do, including, well, I guess, spoiler, now you know which design I used. We are going to select our vinyl type. We are going to follow the prompts. We are going to load our machine with that smart vinyl. And once you do that, your machine and your Cricut design space really take over. You're simply just following prompts. It is really, really easy. And this is probably the funnest part to me. I love seeing the design come to space as I'm anxiously waiting for that 100% and for the design space to prompt me that it is good to unload my machine. That's probably my favorite part of doing this. Now, we did cut out a piece of transfer tape, and then I'm going to go ahead and weed this. And as you can see, it is pretty easy to weed this. The smart vinyl is so good. It is so easy to weed any of your projects like this. Now, you could certainly trim this down. That way you can maximize the amount of vinyl that you are not going to be using with this project. And then we're going to kind of weed out those little tiny, I call them the inner pieces. And we're just going to see our design kind of bloom and grow right in front of our eyes. Did you see what I did there? Now, as you can look at this, you can tell it's a little bit large for the planters, but that's okay because we are going to take one design and I am going to maximize this and turn this into 3 designs for those planters that you see. Now, after I've got everything weeded, it is time to go ahead and add our transfer tape. For my transfer tape, I like to kind of pinch it at the top and then just kind of flatten it on top. We're going to use our Cricut tools and we're going to make sure that all of that transfer tape is adhering to our design so we can easily transfer this onto our blanks. Now, for this next part, this is what's so great about this transfer tape and also about Cricut in general. You are a free agent here. Like, you are free to create whatever you want. And I'm going to take some scissors and we're going to cut these apart because I'm going to put bloom on one of my planters, the and sign on the other planter, and the grow sign on the other planter. And that is going to really maximize not only my vinyl, but also my design. Now, again, this is totally up to you. You can make this as personal or as fabulous as you want to because Cricut really does give you that full flexibility. Now, we're going to add the word bloom at the top of our planter here because we are going to add a little embellishment at the end of this or at the bottom of this for our bloom and for our grow. Now, the and sign, I liked the size of that. I started to stick it down here a little higher and then I thought, you know what? Let's go ahead and remove that before it has stuck down permanently onto my surface, and we are going to just smooth this out. Now, you could use your Cricut tool for this, but because this is a curved surface and because this tin is kind of thin, I'm just going to be using my fingers. But as you can see, it is working just fine, and it is really adding some fun personalization to this. Now, I mentioned we were going to add some additional embellishments. Once again, pop yourself right back into design space. You're going to select the number of layers you're looking for, the item. I typed in flower, and I just wanted to get some really simple flower ideas. I was going to go with a couple different flowers, but ultimately decided that I really liked this design. Originally, I was going to go with 3. I only went with 2, but the whole process is exactly the same. Select, follow the prompts, add your design. And how cute are these little planters? Well, when I added them on my front porch, it gave me the pop of color and spring that I was looking for. So here are my overall thoughts. Cricut offers a wide selection of materials, and they are constantly innovating and adding to their ever-growing product list. If you're going to invest in a Cricut, then be sure and invest in some of the best materials out there for your machine.